I've been kind of dealing with like a massive like ego death recently. And it even got to the point where I didn't know what one of those was or were. But it's definitely it's definitely become like a lot easier to understand. Um as to why I'm kind of having one. I kind of had to put myself through the emotional ringer to kind of come to any sort of realization about the fact that I am not a suited person for a circumstance that I wanted to be in. Um, and it wasn't the fault of anyone that made that happen, made me be that way or feel that way. But one thing that definitely didn't help was my own mindset being convinced that I was the one in the right more than I was. Because there were so many times where I wouldn't, you know, accept the fact that I was wrong. There'd be so many times where I'd believe that I knew better than what I actually did. And it didn't do anybody good at the time, and even less so more now, knowing what I know. I kind of, you know, one thing I've definitely also like come to realize is that I'm a really big people pleaser in a way. And it's like I always kind of have like these times where I feel worse when things aren't going the way that I want them to go anyway, which is obviously like completely fair. But I don't I don't work towards anything, and then I end up making myself angry when it's not how I want it to be. I I'm kind of always looking for someone to kind of be astonished at the work that I'm doing. You know, I'm always wanting someone to see what type of effort or length I'm going to in order to, you know, become someone that's improved or in a better situation than I was before. Like, oh, look at me, I'm doing this now. Look. Like, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like silly in a way, but it's something that feels so almost childish. I feel like a little kid in a way, being like, oh my god, look at me, look at what I'm doing now. Like, ever just keep your eyes on me type of thing. Um, and it's so confusing about how or why it's played out the way that it has. In this relationship that I was in, it was bad. My attitude was poor. I didn't do everything right. It was very childish. It wasn't subjective to a point of where it felt conditional, but I know for a fact it definitely felt that way. Um, I definitely know that it felt that way. Um, and I hate the fact that it took me losing her to be the reason that I was able to make such exponential progress in such a short time. Because it's only been like 3 months since we were together. She broke up with me like 3 months ago. And for some reason, I feel like all of the work, all the inner threads of what I was doing, um, have kind of accumulated so well in my mind and like the way that I present myself now. It's like I kind of had to deal with that. I kind of had to deal with that in order to, you know, progress as someone or to be someone who is more suited to a situation that I once put myself into in that relationship. Because I can name how many times on one hand I ended up owning up to my own mistakes. And, you know, it was so plentiful that it was the wrong decision. And it's like, one thing that I never really enjoyed is that the fact that things were wrong was the reason I always looked for approval when things went right. And I didn't get them all the time. I didn't get, like, told that I was doing better and stuff like that. Because I always did this thing where, as much as it doesn't sound condescending to me, it probably was, maybe. And something that I always did was point out that things are changing and doing better. I always kind of mentioned the fact that things were bad in a way where it was like, oh, they're going much better than they were because of how you treated this and how you did this. And it's kind of condescending, I suppose. And I never meant for it to be like that. I never meant for it to be like something as to where it sounded like I was kind of talking down onto the person that I was with. But I never. I'm still not the best at kind of ensuring anything. I kind of. I'm still kind of. I feel like the best way I can explain my situation is I feel like a young man. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I feel like a kid constantly being like, oh, look at me, look at this, look at what I'm doing and stuff like that. And it was never anything that I did to prove a point to anybody. I never sat there and was like, I know what's going on and, I want you to tell me that I'm doing well because of it. But I always, I don't know, I always kind of like, kind of went with an expectation that it was better to be wrong because there was attention that was given to me regardless of whether it was the attention that I wanted. And I think that was kind of something that played into a little bit with like my mind and how I treated certain things. Because I don't know. I looked at certain things, like, kind of, I look back at it now, like, I step backwards a little bit, and from an outward perspective, like, everything seemed obviously fine. But then it's like the inner workings of, like, who I am as a person, it was never sacrificed because I knew what type of person I was, and it didn't, the relationship didn't make me lose myself because I knew who I was, like, integrally anyway, and I still believe that I'm that same person, but obviously in a different regard. I'm much, much different now. I'm very, I'm very upfront. I'm very open. I'm very able to process. Um, and it's not, honestly, it's not always easy as well. Like, it's still so very difficult, actually. I can't, I can't sit there and say that I'm completely proud of the progress that I've made, in a sense of it being so exponential that it would probably change everything, because realistically it probably won't. But I do know that the way that I am is better than who I was, and I kind of look at certain things like texts that I used to send and how I used to treat myself, and it's like, in a certain way, I think I'm still kind of angry at her for not giving me the benefit of the doubt in a way. Um, and what I mean by that is I'm kind of just upset that she wasn't able to see me, or have the ability to change. Like, I was kind of looked upon like I wasn't able to do so, and I think that's kind of what gets to me, because it was kind of mean. I like, I'm not gonna sit there and make demands on feelings, tell them how to act towards me or anything like that. But I'm told, oh, it's the way that you love me was like amazing and stuff like that, and I can't help but feel a bit kind of like silly, I guess, because if it was what if it was what you wanted, then why are you gone? Like, I'm not your boyfriend anymore. Like, like I was left behind. It wasn't what you wanted, and I'm not like mad at that, but like in the same sense, I kind of am, because I'm told, oh yeah, like I still love you, like I want to be with you, I want to do this, I want to do that, and it's like, if that's so true, then why did that occur in the way where I had to bear all of that alone rather than us solving it? Because I'm told all the time that, like, like, I still care about you, I still love you and stuff like that, like I still want to be with you. And it's like, the thing that really confuses me is that, does that not say something to you if I if you're able to tell me all that and then not do anything about it? Like, does that not hurt? Because it kind of hurts me. And it's not like a replacement type of deal, but like, I can't help but realize that, like, can't help but think or realize that it was probably like the right decision to, you know, try and just move on, because that's kind of what's gone on. And I'm not saying that I'm mad at it, you know, like it does happen and whatnot. But like I tore myself inside out, um, trying to be everything that you wanted me to be, and the only thing that you could think of was the things that I wasn't doing rather than what I did. And I brought that up in the sense of like, you know, things were bad, but we're going about it so much better now and so different. And I couldn't help but feel like I was being stupidly condescending for it. And it, like, I don't know, it kind of makes me mad. And it's like, I don't know, I'm just, I'm kind of putting myself out there a little bit just so I can kind of understand. Because I don't have any idea of what I'm supposed to do. I'm not going to try and move on, you know, anything like that. I'm just going to sit with it the way that I have and just keep going the way that I've been doing it. Because I dealt with, like, a massive shift in certain things, like, you know, my mindsets, you know, the way that I conducted myself towards people, you know, it's a lot of acceptance that I had to bear all at once, and I think that's what makes me angry, because it wasn't looked upon that like that was the capability that I had. Like, I was saw as someone who wasn't able to change, and that's the reason I got left. And I think that's kind of something that irks me, because even so, I would have done everything I could to be the right person, and I don't think being left was a means to do so. I don't think I needed to be broken up with for me to realize what had happened. I think in certain regards, or I don't know, certain extents, I understand why, and I'm not mad at that decision. If anything, I do think whatever was right for her is what she should have chose anyway, and I'm very glad that that's the case. But I can't help but feel mad at the fact that I reckon I could have, you know, I don't know. I can't help but feel that like if the shoe was on the other foot, I would have tried my absolute best to be, you know, in the relationship. 100%. I would have still tried my absolute utmost. And I don't know. I just think, like, I don't know. I'm just kind of mad about it because it's like when a problem arose, and if it was something on my regard, the relationship wasn't at stake. And I think that's what bothers me because as soon as the shoe's on the other foot, that's when everything is in jeopardy. Like, it's just kind of. It kind of makes me feel almost so instantaneously replaceable. Sorry, like I feel like it's easier just to leave me than it is to fix with it. I don't know. It's just kind of. I don't know. I just kind of hate it, you know, because I did everything I thought at the time. You know, I'm not going to sit there and say that it's completely correct now or anything like that. But I did. I really tried my best. I really did. it wasn't always right, and it wasn't always the way that people wanted it. You know, my ex girlfriend, she's like, an absolutely lovely woman. She's a lovely woman. It's nothing to do with her, but I'm told one thing, and I think the thing that makes me angry is that she doesn't feel those things enough to be with me right now. And I know that everyone takes their own time to mourn, and it takes everyone a certain amount. I'm not going to sit there and determine or try to make a point of that because it's unfair. And it's wrong of me to make a demand on someone's feelings anyway. But I'm told so many things. Like, I tell her all the time, like, I want to be with you, I love you. Like, I miss you so much, and this and that. And it's like, it's given back to me, but not all the time. And sometimes I can't help but feel like it's when she wants to, and she doesn't want to all the time, you know? And I'm not saying that's like true or anything. Like, I'm not saying that she's in the wrong or the right for giving me a reaction that's not suitable to what I want. Because obviously that's completely fair. It's not anything to do with anybody else. But I don't know. I just kind of want to be there again. I want it to be new. I want it to be different, but something nicer. And, you know, for a time I was able to believe that something like that would happen. Like, I would able to be with her again. Because that's like the only thing I realistically want. Like, it's not something that I'm mad at the fact that I'm not. I kind of am in a way, but I think it kind of makes sense at the same time. Like, I'm not wrong for being mad about it. I'm not mad at her or anything like that, but I'm mad at the fact of uh, it could be solved with just one simple conversation. If she just came to me and was like, "Hey, like, I don't know if I'm ready, but like, I want to take this step with you. I want to be with you. I want to make sure that everything works. I want to do this the right way." That, like, it would change absolutely everything. It wouldn't. I don't know. I've had to do like a lot of reflection, and it's gotten to the point where I'm so unequivocally aware of how my actions were incorrect. But then I'm also so sure about the things that she did wrong too. And I think because of that is kind of what I mean. Like, all of that came from that too. And I think that's why I'm still so mad about it. And it's not like it's like a fresh wound, but the thoughts that I have of consistency kind of bother me. I don't know. I can't help but feel like that if things were, I don't know, like, I even sat down and had like a massive conversation with myself, um, and I ended up recording it and sending it to her so she could hear my thoughts too, just about like certain things, and it was productive, man. You know, you can't force or make someone care about you, and it's like I'm told this and that's happened and all that stuff, and the only thing I can do is just kind of believe or stick with the hope that she may be back at some point. But I think the further along I go with it, I'm kind of coming to the realization that she probably won't. And I'm not mad at her for that, but I don't know. It kind of stings a bit, is all. You know, it's not it's not something I want out of the effort that I've been putting in to make sure that it doesn't happen again. You know, I wanted to be somebody she was proud of. I wanted to be somebody that she is proud of. But I think she's not there anymore. Not for me. Um, yeah. I don't know.